Imagine waking up tomorrow and discovering money flowed into your life from a direction you never expected. An opportunity, a refund, a gift, a raise, a breakthrough. What if I told you this shift begins not in the world outside, but in the silent depths of your subconscious mind? Your subconscious is a creative force that shapes your financial reality. When you learn to impress it with clarity, conviction, and emotional intensity, unexpected money begins to manifest in ways that feel effortless, natural, and inevitable. Today, you will learn exactly how to awaken this power within you. Welcome back. Today, you're going to discover the true method of manifesting unexpected money, not through luck, not through chance, but through the deliberate direction of your inner world. Let's begin. The subconscious mind operates as the silent architect of your entire financial reality, shaping every experience, opportunity, and circumstance with remarkable precision. You may believe that money appears in your life because of external effort, hustle, or strategy, but the deeper truth is far more powerful. Everything you encounter is molded by the beliefs and assumptions you hold beneath the surface of your awareness. These inner assumptions, accepted by the subconscious, form the blueprint from which your external world is constructed. When you recognize this inner creative power, you stop seeing life as something happening to you and begin to understand that it is happening through you. This shift in perspective is the foundation for manifesting unexpected money. Your subconscious does not argue, analyze, or question. It simply accepts whatever you impress upon it with conviction and emotional intensity. If you hold the assumption that money is scarce, difficult to obtain, or only available in limited doses, the subconscious reproduces circumstances that reinforce that belief. You will meet obstacles, delays, and setbacks because they align with the inner belief structure you've accepted. But when you embrace the truth that abundance is your natural state, when you accept internally that money flows to you with ease and consistency, then the subconscious begins to assemble outer conditions that match this new assumption. This is why money does not come because you chase it. It comes because you embody the state of someone who already experiences abundance. The subconscious mind operates in states, not wishes. If you desire money but internally feel fear, doubt, or lack, you are living in the state of not having money, and the subconscious reproduces that condition. On the other hand, if you accept abundance as an inner reality, if you feel financially supported, secure, and prosperous, then the subconscious accepts this as the truth of your life and moves to express it. Many people live unaware of this process, believing their circumstances are random or controlled by the external world. But every time you say, "I can't afford that," or "money is hard to come by," or "I never get lucky," you are impressing limitations upon your subconscious. These statements become instructions, and the subconscious faithfully carries them out. To reverse this pattern, you must begin by acknowledging that your inner assumptions are the creative power behind your financial experiences. You must claim the authority to direct this power with intention, rather than letting old beliefs dictate your reality. Recognizing the subconscious as creative power also means understanding that it responds more to feeling than to words. You can speak affirmations all day long, but if the dominant feeling within you is fear or lack, the subconscious will follow the feeling, not the phrase. Therefore, the first step in manifesting unexpected money is to cultivate the feeling of abundance, ease, and sufficiency within your internal world. This does not require external proof. In fact, the proof appears only after the subconscious accepts the new internal state. Feeling prosperous, even before seeing physical evidence, is not pretending. It is choosing the state that will eventually crystallize into your outer life. You may wonder how this inner movement translates into actual financial shifts. The subconscious influences your intuition, your decisions, your encounters, and the opportunities that become visible to you. When you assume abundance inwardly, you naturally move through the world differently. You notice opportunities you previously ignored. You feel guided toward ideas and actions that lead to financial gain. People respond to you differently because your inner state is communicating confidence and expectancy at a subtle level. Even events that seem unrelated begin to align in ways that support your new assumption. The channels through which unexpected money can flow become countless because you are no longer restricting yourself to the limited logic of the conscious mind. There is no force working against you when you recognize this truth. There is only the power within you, waiting to be directed. When you accept responsibility for your assumptions, you no longer blame circumstances, timing, or luck. Instead, you realize that the creative process begins within and that your subconscious will unfailingly reproduce the states you inhabit persistently. This realization is liberating because it places the power of financial change directly in your hands. To align with abundance, begin by observing the assumptions you currently hold about money. Ask yourself what you truly believe, not what you wish to believe, but what you feel to be real. Do you expect struggle? Do you anticipate lack? Do you assume that unexpected money is rare or unrealistic? These assumptions may be operating quietly beneath the surface, yet they exert tremendous influence. Once identified, they can be replaced. To install a new assumption, you must repeatedly bring your attention to the feeling of already being financially supported. Imagine what it feels like to know that money is always available, to feel the confidence of someone who always receives what they need, to live in an inner world where abundance is the norm. This feeling, once accepted by the subconscious, becomes the new creative pattern. Unexpected money appears because the inner assumption changed first. The outer world simply follows. When you recognize the subconscious as the creative power, you no longer wait for circumstances to shift before changing your feelings. You change your inner world first, and the outer world inevitably responds. This is the essence of manifesting money in its purest form. The realization that what you accept as true becomes the path your life follows. Forming the inner concept of financial ease means reshaping the very foundation of how you perceive money, how you relate to it, and how you expect it to show up in your life. Most people unknowingly hold assumptions of struggle, limitation, or unpredictability around money. These assumptions are not conscious. They are subtle impressions stored deep within the subconscious. Yet they dictate what you experience. The moment you redefine these quiet beliefs, the moment you establish a new internal relationship with money, everything in your external world begins to reorganize itself around that shift. To form this new concept, you must first recognize that your financial life is not determined by your circumstances, your history, or your current income. It is determined by the state of consciousness you occupy. When you think of money, what automatic feeling rises within you? Does it feel tight, distant, difficult, or rare? Or does it feel accessible, abundant, and supportive? This feeling is the indicator of the inner concept you currently hold. If your automatic emotional response is constriction, worry, or anticipation of lack, then your subconscious is reproducing that state repeatedly. Your task is not to fight these feelings, but to gently replace them with a new, steady sense of ease. Begin by observing the stories you tell yourself throughout the day. When a bill appears, do you react with tension or with calm confidence? When you think about your future, do you imagine difficulty or expansion? These habitual responses are not mere reactions. They are manifestations of your inner concept. To shift them, you must consciously choose a new emotional stance. Imagine what it would feel like if money was simply something that flowed to you without strain. Like the movement of air, the flow of water, the rhythm of your own breath. Picture yourself as someone who naturally attracts financial support, someone for whom resources appear right when needed, someone who lives in a state of financial harmony. Allow this idea to become familiar, not as wishful thinking, but as an adopted identity. This is crucial. You are not hoping for ease, you are assuming the identity of a person for whom ease is normal. Think of the difference between someone hoping to be wealthy and someone who knows wealth is part of their life. One reaches, the other rests. One strains, the other assumes. You are learning to rest in the inner certainty that money flows to you consistently and generously. To reinforce this inner concept, use emotional rehearsal. Close your eyes and recall a time when something worked out effortlessly for you. Maybe a gift, an opportunity, a refund, a bonus, or money arriving when you needed it most. Feel the relief, the gratitude, the surprise, the sense of being supported. Now expand that feeling. Imagine it not as a rare moment, but as the standard rhythm of your life. Let this emotion grow until it feels natural. Emotion is what imprints the subconscious, and consistency is what solidifies the concept. Do not worry if your outer circumstances do not yet reflect the change. The outer world always lags behind the inner one. The seed does not sprout the moment it enters the soil. Your task is to persist in this new idea of yourself until it becomes more real to you than the old pattern of lack. When the inner concept of ease becomes stable, your subconscious begins to orchestrate events that match it. You will notice opportunities you didn't see before. Ideas will arise that bring more flow. Situations that once caused anxiety will resolve themselves. Money will begin arriving through channels you could not have predicted. The inner concept you hold determines what you expect. Expectation shapes perception. Perception influences action. And action, combined with the unseen movement of the subconscious, produces the outcomes you experience. This is why forming the concept of financial ease is not about forcing positive thoughts or chanting affirmations with desperation. It is about quietly, steadily accepting a new truth about yourself. You are someone to whom money flows naturally. One powerful way to anchor this concept is to imagine how you would behave if financial ease were already your reality. What would you think as you start your day? How would your body feel? How would you speak about your finances? Would you still worry the way you do now? Would you still feel pressure when expenses arise? Or would you move through life with a sense of calm assurance that everything you need is already on its way? Begin acting from that identity in small but meaningful ways. You do not need to spend differently. You simply need to feel differently. You need to approach your finances with confidence rather than fear. When you think of money, replace the old tension with a quiet, steady sense of sufficiency. This feeling is not dependent on numbers in a bank account. It is the cause of those numbers increasing. Over time, this new inner concept becomes your default. It becomes the lens through which you see the world, and because the subconscious always expresses what it holds within, your life begins to mirror this inner ease. You become a person who naturally attracts opportunities, unexpected income, and financial support. You do not force these outcomes. You allow them by becoming aligned with them. Forming the inner concept of financial ease is not a technique you perform. It is an identity you adopt. Once you accept it, the flow of unexpected money becomes not an exception, but a normal, effortless expression of the state you live from. Crafting a single, vivid imaginal scene is the cornerstone of impressing your subconscious mind with the reality you desire. The reason this works so powerfully is because your subconscious does not differentiate between what is imagined with feeling and what is physically experienced. It accepts both as true, and once it accepts a truth, it brings the outer world into alignment with that inner acceptance. This is why the scene you choose must not only be simple, but must also imply one thing clearly: the desire has already been fulfilled. You are not imagining the process of receiving money. You are not imagining the steps that lead to it. You are imagining the end, the moment after the manifestation is complete. To create such a scene, begin by selecting one brief moment that unmistakably implies you have already received unexpected money. This scene should be so short that it can loop effortlessly, almost like a few seconds from a memory. Perhaps it is the feeling of holding a message on your phone that reads, "Funds received." It might be the sound of someone close to you saying, "I'm so happy for you." It could be the feeling of placing extra cash into your wallet or seeing an account balance that is suddenly higher. The content of the scene is entirely yours to choose, but the defining quality is that the moment must capture the fulfillment of your desire, not the anticipation of it. Once you choose the moment, begin to enrich it with sensory detail. Feel the weight of the phone in your hand as you read the message confirming that funds have arrived. Hear the tone in the voice of the person congratulating you. Warm, surprised, joyful. Imagine the lighting in the room, the temperature of the air, the subtle movements of your body. These details are not necessary because the subconscious needs perfect imagery. They are necessary because they contribute to the feeling of reality. The more natural the scene feels, the more readily your subconscious accepts it as true. When you begin to replay this scene, you must not do so with effort or strain. The goal is not to force imagery, but to allow the scene to arise gently, like a memory you enjoy revisiting. The moment you begin to feel the emotional quality of the scene, whether it is relief, gratitude, excitement, or calm certainty, you have achieved the true purpose of the practice. The emotional charge is what impresses the subconscious, not the visual clarity. Even if your imagery is faint, even if the scene is more of an impression than a picture, what matters is the inward experience. You are not creating an artistic visualization. You are experiencing the fulfillment of a desire that already exists within you. A common mistake is choosing a scene that is too complicated or too long. When a scene has too many steps, too many people, or too much action, the mind begins to wander. You shift from experiencing the end to imagining how the end might come about. This interrupts the power of the practice because the subconscious is not influenced by complexity. It is influenced by the feeling of completion. A simple scene allows you to return again and again to the essence of your desire fulfilled. It becomes effortless to repeat, and repetition is essential. The more often you re-experience the state of the wish fulfilled, the more deeply it becomes ingrained in your subconscious. Another important aspect of the imaginal scene is the perspective from which you experience it. You should experience it from the first-person point of view. You are not watching yourself receive money like a movie. You are living it in your own body. You feel your own hands, hear through your own ears, and sense the emotion within your own chest. This is what makes the scene real to your subconscious. Third-person imagery can be effective for creative purposes, but it does not anchor the experience in the same intimate, subjective way. You are the one living the fulfillment, so you must be the one inside the moment. When it comes to emotional intensity, do not force excitement if excitement does not feel natural to you. Some people feel deep gratitude when imagining unexpected money. Others feel profound relief. Others feel calm, confident assurance. Choose the emotion that best reflects the outcome as you would genuinely experience it. Imposing an emotion that does not feel authentic can create resistance. Feeling is the secret language of the subconscious, and authenticity strengthens the impression. Repetition transforms the imaginal scene into a psychological imprint. The best times to rehearse the scene are when your mind is naturally relaxed, just before sleep, just upon waking, or during moments when your attention softens, such as after meditation or during quiet breaks. In these states, the conscious mind loosens its grip and the subconscious becomes highly receptive. Replay the scene gently, allowing it to unfold without force. When the feeling of fulfillment arises, let that feeling saturate you and then release the scene. You do not need to hold onto it tightly. The impression is made in the moment of feeling, not in the duration of the visualization. Over time, this single, vivid imaginal scene becomes a new internal truth. It replaces old assumptions of lack, struggle, or uncertainty with a new assumption of abundance, ease, and financial blessing. The outer world, which is a reflection of your inner beliefs, begins to shift accordingly. Unexpected money shows up through channels you could never have predicted. Opportunities arise, ideas surface, solutions appear, and circumstances rearrange themselves to mirror the inner state you have repeatedly experienced. This process is not wishful thinking, It is the deliberate cultivation of an inner reality that becomes externally expressed. When your imaginal scene feels natural, consistent, and emotionally rich, your subconscious accepts it as the world you inhabit. And once it accepts it, its manifestation in the physical world becomes inevitable. Entering the state of inner stillness is the pivotal moment where the invisible transitions into the tangible. It is the bridge between conscious desire and subconscious acceptance. This stillness is not a technique of force, nor is it an intellectual exercise. It is a gentle surrender, a soft descent into the quiet depth of your own awareness. When you relax the body and quiet the surface mind, you enter the only environment in which true transformation can occur. The state where impressions are received, not created by effort. This is where your imaginal act becomes alive, vivid, and authoritative. Begin by allowing your body to loosen its grip on the day. Let your breathing slow naturally. You are not trying to make anything happen. You are simply releasing the tension that keeps the mind occupied with the outer world. As you move into this calm, your senses withdraw from the noise and movements that surround you. You feel yourself becoming less concerned with the physical environment and more aware of the inner landscape, the place where imagination and feeling reside. This is not sleep, but the doorway near sleep, the state where the conscious mind grows quiet and the subconscious mind opens its gates. In this state, the mind becomes impressionable, much like fertile soil ready to receive a seed. The subconscious does not filter or question, it accepts. Whatever you present to it with a sense of reality becomes its new blueprint. This is why stillness is essential. The conscious mind, with all its doubts, analysis, and logic, steps aside. What remains is pure awareness, absorbing whatever you allow to occupy it. When you are in this receptive inner silence, a single thought or image can override years of limiting beliefs. As you sink deeper into the feeling of quiet, allow your chosen imaginal scene to gently rise in your awareness. Do not force it, push it, or try to perfect it. Let it emerge naturally, as if it were a memory returning to you. The scene should not feel like something you are creating, but something you are remembering. This is because the subconscious responds powerfully to what feels familiar, what feels already lived. The moment the scene begins to take on this quality of already happened, you are impressing it effectively. The key in this stillness is not visual clarity, but emotional authenticity. You do not need to see every detail. You do not need a clear picture. What matters is that the inner experience feels real. Perhaps you feel the weight of the money in your hands, or the joy of receiving an unexpected deposit, or the relief of knowing your financial situation shifted. The feeling anchors the scene into the subconscious far more deeply than any visual image. The stillness amplifies that feeling because nothing is distracting you, nothing is competing for your attention. As you linger in this inner world, allow yourself to fully embody the state of the one who has already received the unexpected money. Feel the satisfaction, the peace, the gratitude. Notice how your chest feels, how your breathing changes, how your emotional tone lifts. These subtle shifts are signals that the subconscious is accepting the experience. You do not need to repeat affirmations or strain to hold the image. You only need to relax, feel, and allow the experience to settle into you like a truth. If your mind wanders, do not fight it. Gently return to the scene. Resistance only creates more noise. You are not trying to discipline your mind. You are guiding it softly back into the state where it feels natural to dwell in the end. Each time you return, the scene becomes easier, more fluid, more natural, until eventually it becomes the most comfortable place to rest your attention. As you reach the edge of sleep, the subconscious is most open. This is the moment where your inner act becomes potent. You may find that the scene begins to play itself without your effort, like a dream forming. This is the ideal point of impression. Allow the scene to flow, and allow yourself to feel the fulfillment of your desire. There is no urgency, no impatience, no doubt. Only the calm certainty that what you are experiencing inwardly is your reality. When you finally drift into sleep, With the scene alive within you, you have planted the seed deeply. The subconscious will continue to work with it in ways you cannot consciously track or understand. It will rearrange circumstances, move people, open paths, and close others. The outer world must eventually reflect what you impressed upon your inner world. Stillness was the gateway that allowed this truth to reach the creative depths of your being. Entering this state of inner stillness is not merely a practice, it is the foundation of deliberate manifestation. The quieter you become, the louder your inner world speaks. And when your inner world speaks clearly, the subconscious follows without hesitation. Through stillness, you bypass resistance, neutralize doubt, and present your desire as a lived, unquestioned reality. From this quiet state, unexpected money begins its journey into your life, not as a miracle, but as a natural expression of the reality you have assumed within. Feel the reality of the receipt by stepping into the emotional atmosphere of your fulfilled desire so completely that your inner world becomes more convincing than anything your physical senses can argue against. The subconscious responds not to effort or force, but to the tones of feeling that you allow yourself to rest in. When you imagine receiving unexpected money, do not simply visualize the event as if you were watching a movie. Bring the scene inward, live in it. Allow the mood of that moment to wrap itself around you. The feeling is the essence that tells your subconscious, this is real, this is mine, this is the state I occupy now. Most people approach manifestation with a vague sense of hope or wishful thinking, but that mode of thinking produces no creative power. Hope acknowledges a distance between you and the desire. Feeling, on the other hand, collapses that distance completely. When you feel gratitude or relief or quiet certainty, you signal to the subconscious that the manifestation has already occurred. These emotions are not random. They are the natural byproduct of a desire fulfilled. You do not feel relieved before a problem is solved. You feel relieved afterward. You do not feel grateful before receiving a gift. You feel grateful because the gift is already in your possession. So when you summon these emotions deliberately, you are telling the subconscious that the event has happened, that it belongs to you now in the realm it understands best, the realm of feeling. The subconscious operates on impressions, not logic. You do not need to explain how the money will arrive or convince yourself intellectually. The only persuasion required is emotional. Feel the way you would feel if your financial situation transformed overnight. Let that feeling take root. Let it color your breathing, your posture, your tone. Imagine reading a message confirming an unexpected deposit, and let the warmth of that moment spread through your chest. Imagine opening your wallet or bank account and seeing a balance that surprises you in the best possible way. Notice how your body relaxes, how your mind quiets, how the tension you once carried dissolves. This is the state that plants the seed. The more natural this feeling becomes, the faster the external world responds. Do not strain. Do not attempt to force emotion. Instead, allow it to arise by gently directing your attention to the experience of already having what you desire. It can begin subtly, like a soft glow of certainty, a light shift in mood, a slight lift in your breathing. These subtle emotional tones are enough because they speak directly to the subconscious in its own language. It never questions intensity or volume. It only receives the quality of the feeling you hold. When you practice this, you may notice the world around you beginning to shift. Ideas come to mind that you never considered. People respond differently to you. Conversations open doors that were once closed. This is not coincidence. This is resonance. The outer world is mirroring the inner emotional climate you've established. The feeling of already receiving unexpected money draws matching conditions into your experience. If doubts arise, which they sometimes will, do not fight them. Fighting creates resistance. Simply return to the feeling, gently, quietly, consistently. The feeling is always more powerful than the doubt because it is the creative cause. Doubt is merely a byproduct of the old state you once lived in. Each time you return to the emotional atmosphere of your fulfilled desire, You reinforce the new state and weaken the old one. Eventually, the new feeling becomes your baseline, your home, your natural way of being. And once it becomes natural, manifestation becomes inevitable. This process is not about pretending or escaping reality. It is about redefining reality from within. The world you see is the echo of the state you occupy. When you feel as though unexpected money has already arrived, your actions, thoughts, and expectations align themselves automatically. You begin to think differently, speak differently, respond differently. Your subconscious guides you with effortless precision because it assumes the state you impressed upon it. And when the inner state shifts, the outer world rearranges itself to match it. Imagine that moment again, the notification on your phone, the envelope in your hand, the message from someone saying, "I sent it, you should see it now." Feel the ease that follows. Feel the calm confidence that washes over you. Imagine what you would do next. How would you breathe? How would you walk? How would you think about yourself knowing that money now flows to you from expected and unexpected channels? The more you immerse yourself in these feelings, the more your subconscious accepts them as truth. In this acceptance lies the creative act. The subconscious does not delay. It immediately begins arranging circumstances to reflect the emotion you've impressed upon it. The world must conform because it is only ever a shadow of your internal assumptions. Feel the fulfillment deeply, sincerely, without strain. Let yourself dwell in the satisfaction of already receiving unexpected money, and you will see how quickly your reality begins to echo the state you have chosen within. Releasing the how and the when is one of the most essential steps in allowing unexpected money to manifest through the subconscious mind, because it requires you to surrender your need for control and align with a deeper intelligence that operates beneath conscious awareness. When you attempt to dictate the exact path, timing, or method through which money should appear, you constrict the very channels that are trying to open. The conscious mind sees only a fraction of what is possible. It operates through logic, linear thinking, and limited perception. However, the subconscious is connected to a vast network of unseen possibilities. It communicates through intuition, orchestrates circumstances, and connects events in ways the rational mind cannot predict. When you release the how and the when, you step out of the way and allow this deeper power to function without resistance. Most people unknowingly block their manifestations because they do not trust this unseen process. They create a beautiful inner vision, feeling the reality of abundance, and then immediately weaken the impression by questioning it. They ask themselves, but how is it going to happen? When will it come? What if it doesn't? These questions are signals of doubt, and doubt dissolves the emotional imprint that the subconscious responds to. The subconscious accepts what you feel to be true, not what you hope for under the shadow of worry. When you worry about timing or pathways, you are essentially affirming that the money is not yet yours, that it is far away, or that it depends on external circumstances. This attitude contradicts the inner assumption of fulfillment and delays the manifestation. Releasing the how and the when does not mean becoming passive or doing nothing. It means you take aligned inner action while allowing outer events to reorganize themselves. It means you trust that the moment you impress the subconscious with the feeling of already having received unexpected money, the process is already set in motion. You may not see the shift, but it is happening beneath the surface, just as a seed grows roots before a sprout becomes visible. Impatience comes from forgetting that the unseen stage of manifestation is just as important as the visible one. By releasing your grip on timing, you create space for the subconscious to work freely, efficiently, and in ways that often surprise you. Many people believe they must plan every detail of how money will appear. They think it must come from a certain job, business, opportunity, or person. But unexpected money rarely arrives through the channels you anticipate. It comes from places you did not calculate, a refund you forgot about, a bonus you were not expecting, a client who suddenly contacts you, A check that arrives in the mail, a debt forgiven, a new source of income revealed, or an opportunity that opens without effort. These moments feel serendipitous, but they are the direct result of impressing your subconscious with the assumption of abundance, and then releasing the need to supervise the process. When you let go of the how and the when, you communicate absolute trust. You declare through your attitude and feeling that the desire is already fulfilled. You no longer obsess over signs, timing, or progress. You do not check your bank account every few hours hoping to see change. You do not analyze whether you did it right. Instead, you rest in confidence. You carry yourself as someone who already experienced the increase. This inner calm creates magnetic conditions. It shifts your vibration from wanting to having, from trying to allowing. The subconscious responds far more powerfully to relaxed certainty than to tense effort. In fact, tense effort repels the manifestation, while calm expectation draws it closer. Releasing the how and the when also protects you from emotional turbulence. When you are fixated on timing, every delay feels like failure. When you cling to specific outcomes, every deviation feels like disappointment. But when you trust the process fully, you remain centered no matter what appears in the outer world. You understand that the external world is only a reflection of your inner state, and that reflection sometimes takes time to catch up with the mental image. You do not rush the mirror, you simply maintain the inner picture until the outer world aligns with it. Another powerful dimension of letting go is that it frees you from contradicting your intention with negative self-talk. If you insist on a particular method, such as receiving money only through your job, you may block alternative paths that are easier, faster, or more unexpected. You may overlook opportunities because they do not match the narrow path you envisioned. By detaching from specific outcomes, you become receptive to creative solutions that you could not have predicted. This is where the subconscious excels. It reveals paths that bypass effort and bring results through ease. Ultimately, releasing the how and the when is about stepping into a higher state of awareness, one where your desire is not something you chase but something you embody. When you adopt this state, the manifestation becomes inevitable. Unexpected money flows, channels open, and events coordinate themselves in perfect sequence. Your only task is to sustain the inner feeling of fulfillment, trust the deeper creative power within, and allow the external world to mirror the reality you have already accepted internally. Living each day from the fulfilled state is the single most transformative step in manifesting unexpected money through the subconscious mind. It is the point where imagination and reality merge. This is where desire stops being something you want and becomes something you are. When you live from the fulfilled state, you are no longer reaching for the manifestation. You are responding to life as the version of yourself who already possesses it. To live from the fulfilled state, begin by adjusting the inner posture from which you think and feel. Instead of waking each day wondering when the money will come, you wake with the quiet confidence that it is already yours in the unseen. Your inner dialogue shifts from uncertainty to certainty, from worry to assurance. You no longer think in terms of lack or delay. You think in terms of completion, satisfaction, and gratitude. The energy you carry is no longer the energy of someone waiting, but of someone who has received. This shift does not require physical evidence. In fact, making the shift without needing visible proof is the very mechanism that brings the proof. When you can feel wealthy before the appearance of wealth, you impress your subconscious with the vibration of financial fulfillment. When you can act as someone who already received unexpected money, the subconscious must externalize that assumption through the events and circumstances of your life. Living from the fulfilled state begins with your inner conversations. Ask yourself, how would I think if I had already received the financial blessing I desire? Would I speak differently to myself? Would I carry myself with more calmness, more enjoyment, more certainty? Inner conversations create the outer world, so change them deliberately. Instead of saying, I hope it comes soon. Your inner tone becomes, it came, it's done. I'm supported. Money flows to me effortlessly. These subtle shifts create powerful imprints. Next, consider your emotional baseline. When money is uncertain, emotions fluctuate with worry, frustration, or impatience. But when money is a settled fact, when it is already received, the emotional tone is completely different. There is relief, clarity, and lightness. There is no urgency because the outcome is already secured. Living from the fulfilled state means adopting these emotions as your natural state. Even if your circumstances have not yet caught up, you choose to embody calm confidence because your inner reality is already established. Behavior also aligns with the fulfilled state. This does not mean irresponsibly spending money you do not have. Living from the fulfilled state is not about reckless action. It is about aligned action. You move through your day with the quiet assurance of someone who is financially supported. You make decisions from a place of abundance rather than fear. You take actions that reflect trust rather than scarcity. When opportunities arise, you respond with openness rather than hesitation. You give attention to what uplifts you rather than what worries you. This behavioral alignment sends a signal to your subconscious that abundance is normal for you. Another aspect of living from the fulfilled state is recognizing that the manifestation already exists in the unseen. Just as a seed sprouts long before it breaks the surface of the soil, your manifested money is already forming in ways you cannot yet observe. Holding this understanding prevents you from slipping back into doubt. When you know something is already growing beneath the surface, you do not uproot it to check if it is working. You trust the invisible process. You trust the timing. You trust the unfolding. In this fulfilled state, you become less reactive to external circumstances. If something triggers financial doubt, you gently return to your inner knowing. You remind yourself that the outer world is simply the shadow of your past assumptions. You refuse to let old conditions define you because you are identifying with the outcome rather than the process. This recentering is critical. It keeps your subconscious anchored in the new state rather than drifting back to the old one. Living from the fulfilled state also means celebrating internally before the manifestation appears. Feel the gratitude now. Not gratitude as a tactic, but gratitude as a natural result of knowing it is done. Gratitude calibrates your subconscious to abundance and signals that the desire is already fulfilled. The more you embody this feeling, the faster the external world must conform. Another important element is relaxation. The fulfilled state is always accompanied by ease. There is no strain, no forcing, no watching the clock. When something is complete, you do not anxiously monitor it. You rest in the knowledge that it is settled. Practicing this restfulness is key. Sit with the feeling that everything you want financially has already unfolded. You are not chasing. You are receiving. You are not hoping. You are living from the result. As you persist in this state, subtle changes begin to happen. Ideas come to you effortlessly. Opportunities appear unexpectedly. People reach out. Delays dissolve. The world begins to mirror the internal shift with a precision that feels almost magical. But it is not magic, it is law. The inner assumption creates the outer experience. The subconscious organizes the path. Your only responsibility is to maintain the inner state. Living each day from the fulfilled state is not something you force, it is something you allow. You step into the identity of the version of you who already received the unexpected money. You speak from that version. You think from that version. You feel from that version. You trust from that version. And because identity determines experience, the world eventually reflects back exactly what you have assumed. When you consistently inhabit this fulfilled state, the manifestation becomes inevitable. Unexpected money finds you through avenues you never imagined. The pathway may surprise you, but the result will feel natural because you have been living in it internally long before it appeared externally. When the inner state changes, the outer world shifts in response, often in ways so subtle and so seamless that you may not initially recognize the connection. Yet, everything begins to reorganize itself around the assumption you now hold as true. This is the moment when you move from hoping for unexpected money to quietly knowing it is already on its way. You begin to sense a difference in the atmosphere of your life, as though something has been set into motion beneath the surface. This shift is not forced, it is not created by willpower or effort. It unfolds naturally because the subconscious mind, once impressed with the feeling of already having received what you desire, compels the outer world to reflect that inner certainty. At first, the shift may feel like a simple change in your mood. You may find yourself more relaxed, more confident, more trusting of life. You no longer feel tense around money. You no longer wonder if something will happen. Instead, you feel as though it already has. This emotional ease is the first indicator that the outer manifestation is drawing near. The worry dissolves, the doubt weakens. The inner conversation becomes supportive rather than resistant. This is not just a mood, it is a new state of being, and that state carries creative power. Once this inner alignment takes hold, the world around you begins to present new pathways. You might receive an unexpected message, a forgotten refund, or an opportunity that seems to appear at exactly the right moment. You may overhear a conversation that sparks a profitable idea. You may notice an old plan suddenly opening up with fresh potential. Doors that felt shut begin to move. Situations that once seemed stagnant shift into flow. People who had not been responsive become helpful. All of this occurs because your inner state no longer matches the old pattern of lack or limitation. The outer world is never the cause, it is always the effect. When you operate from a fulfilled inner state, the world is compelled to adjust itself to match that internal reality. It may do so through ordinary means or extraordinary ones. The key is that the form it takes does not matter. What matters is that you recognize the new pattern, a pattern of ease, of movement, of unfolding possibilities. You may find yourself being guided by intuition, subtle nudges to send a message, check an account, revisit a forgotten idea, or simply be present in a particular place. These impulses often lead directly to the manifestation of unexpected money, yet they feel natural, effortless, and aligned. Sometimes the shift comes through people. Someone may offer you something unexpectedly. A colleague may recommend you for a project. A friend may repay an old debt you had forgotten. A family member may surprise you with support. These interactions are not coincidences. They are reflections of your new inner assumption. The subconscious uses the easiest and most efficient channels to bring about what you have accepted as true. It is not bound by your expectations, and it is not limited to the channels you believe are possible. Its resources are vast, and its timing is precise. There may also be moments where delays suddenly resolve. Something that had been stuck for weeks or months finally moves forward. A pending payment is released. A decision swings in your favor. A process that seemed slow accelerates. These shifts are not accidents. They are signs that your subconscious has begun reorganizing the outer conditions to bring about your financial outcome. What once felt obstructed begins to flow. This is one of the clearest indicators that your inner state has transformed. Another sign of the shift is the emergence of clarity. Ideas you once ignored may now appear valuable. You may feel inspired to take action that you previously overlooked. These are not random thoughts. They are the natural consequences of the new financial assumption living within you. When the subconscious accepts abundance as a fact, it sends intuitive guidance that aligns with that reality. You think differently, feel differently, respond differently. And because of that, the world responds differently to you. As this alignment deepens, you may notice that you no longer feel the urge to check for results or measure progress. The anticipation fades because the inner fulfillment is already present. This is the state where manifestations materialize quickly and with minimal effort. The outer world becomes a mirror reflecting the certainty you carry. In this state, unexpected money can appear through channels that surprise you, channels you did not consciously consider or pursue. The subconscious is unlimited in the ways it can deliver. The ultimate shift occurs when you begin to understand that money is not something external to pursue, but something that flows from the inner assumption you maintain. You stop working from the outside in and begin working from the inside out. The world ceases to feel random. It becomes orderly, responsive, and cooperative. Results appear not through struggle but through alignment. When unexpected money arrives, it will feel both natural and extraordinary. Natural because the inner state had already accepted it long before it appeared. Extraordinary because the way it arrives may surpass anything your logical mind predicted. This is the power of a shifted inner state. It turns the invisible assumption into visible reality. Your subconscious mind holds the pattern of your financial life. When you impress it with the feeling of abundance, unexpected money becomes a natural expression of who you are. You do not beg for it, chase it, or hope for it. You allow it. You assume the state, and the world responds. If you're ready to manifest unexpected money, begin tonight. Enter the stillness, rehearse the scene. Feel the truth of your desire fulfilled, and let your subconscious create the path.